Hi there, grade. Welcome to grammar for today. We are starting a brand new chapter called Possessive Nouns. It is the last chapter of this book, and as soon as we're done with this one, we'll move on to our next workbook. So, I want you to think right now. Think about all the different roles that you play at the same time. So, for example, if you're a boy, you are a son, a grandson, maybe even brother. If you are a girl, you are a daughter, a granddaughter, maybe even a sister. So nouns can do the same thing. They can play different roles. They play different roles in the sentence depending on the words around it and where it's placed in the sentence. And I want you to think about what a noun does. A noun, what is a noun? So it's a person, a place, a quality, a thing, an idea, but it can have different roles within a sentence. It can be a subject, it can be a direct object. Today we're going to learn about how it can show possession or ownership, and that's called a possessive noun. Now, even though a noun is a possessive noun, it behaves like an adjective because it's modifying another noun. And it usually answers that question, whose. So we're going to do a little bit of an example here. So, all right. So, to whom does this belong? This is Bryn's pineapple. So, okay, there we go. Next one. This is Chloe's dolphin. So Chloe is a noun, but it's acting as a possessive noun, showing possession. Whose dolphin? It's Chloe's dolphin, and it's acting as an adjective. It's modifying that noun. All right. Next one. Chloe's cat. Again, whose cat? Chloe's cat. That's the possessive noun. It's acting as an adjective right here. All right, one more. All right, this is Bryn's narwhal. Yeah, so big. Bryn's narwhal. Gotta remember how to spell that. Bryn's narwhal. So it is a possessive noun. It's answering the question whose narwhal. It's Bryn's narwhal. And it's adjective. Talking about that noun, narwhal. So all right, if you notice, a noun in the possessive case ends in apostrophe S. We'll talk about that, how to write that later on in a little bit. So we need to talk about what are the three different cases for nouns. So nouns can be subjective or nominative. They can do the action, okay, the noun that does the action, or they can be in the objective case, the noun that receives the action, or it can be in the possessive case, which the noun possesses something. So that's what we'll be focusing on in this chapter, when the noun possesses something. So I want you to open up your book to page 142, and there's a little paragraph in the middle that we will read about, and we will find the possessive noun in here. So open up to page 142, and in the middle paragraph, let's go ahead and read that. A noun in the possessive case stands out because of its apostrophe. Howard Pyle uses one in this passage, The Merry Adventures of Robin Hood, in which the Sheriff of Nottingham nearly has his head pierced with an arrow. Can you identify the word that is in the possessive case? Let's read it. "Stand back, Sheriff," cried Little John, and even as he spoke, a A bugle-horn sounded shrilly, and a cloth-yard shaft whistled within an inch of the sheriff's head. Where's that possessive noun? Hopefully you see that it is sheriffs. Okay? There's that apostrophe S. Whose head? The sheriff's head. So the possessive noun of sheriffs, and instead of writing the head of the sheriff, you'd write the sheriff's head. It just sounds much better anyway. It means the head being threatened by the arrow is owned by the sheriff. When a noun is in the possessive case, it functions as an adjective. It modifies another noun. Whose head? Well, the sheriff's head. We treat a possessive noun like an adjective when we analyze it in our diagram it. So, unlike adjectives, though, possessive nouns can be modified by other adjectives, like the sheriff's head or the merry men's forest. A couple different ones in there. So, now let's look at the top of page 143 and talk about when to put in an apostrophe when we're talking about possession. So, possessive nouns. Add an apostrophe and the letter S. Apostrophe S. If the noun does not end in S, so like the word sheriff, doesn't end in S, it's possessive, I'm just going to do apostrophe S. So. This is singular, and so I'm just going to do apostrophe S. Now, if the noun ends in S, but it's singular, just do apostrophe S, like class. And if it's showing possession, apostrophe S. Now, what if the noun is plural and it ends in S? Well, you just do apostrophe, like the word in the book, archers. Just do your apostrophe for that one. Now, if you look back to the paragraph on page 142, we need to remind ourselves about common nouns and proper nouns. So some of the common nouns would be horn, arrow, head, and then the proper nouns would be sheriff, Little John, Robin Hood. They're proper nouns, they're capitalized. So don't forget about that difference as we are working through diagram and analyzing these as well. So we will, if you look on page 143, there's some information about commas and the days of the week, and we will work on that tomorrow. Today we will just work on analyzing some sentences and diagramming them. So take out a piece of paper, write this first sentence down. Robin Hood's friend shot longbow arrows. Robin Hood's friend shot longbow arrows. And follow along with me as I analyze and diagram them. Practice along with me, and then tomorrow we will work on the next few pages. First sentence, here we go. Robin Hood's friend shot longbow arrows. This is a sentence, and it is declarative. This sentence is about friend. So friend is the subject because it is what the sentence is about. This sentence tells us that friend shot. So shot is the predicate because it is what the sentence tells us about a friend. It is a predicate verb because it shows action. There's no linking verb because predicate verbs do not need linking verbs. Arrow tells us what friend shot. So arrow is an objective element because it completes the meaning of an action verb. It is a direct object because it tells what friends shot. Longbow tells us what kind of arrows. So longbow is an adjectival element because it modifies a noun. It is an adjective. Robin Hood's tells us whose friend. So Robin Hood's is an adjectival element because it modifies a noun. it is an adjective. Now hit pause, diagram the sentence, and then check your work when you come back. All right, this is what you should have when you are done. Second sentence, please write this down on your paper. Hit pause, write it down, come back, and we'll work through this together. Okay, here we go. Is that shaft Robin Hood's arrow? This is a sentence, and it is interrogative. This sentence is about shaft. So shaft is the subject because it is what the sentence is about. This sentence tells us that shaft is arrow. So arrow is the predicate because it is what the sentence tells us about shaft. It is a predicate nominative because it renames the subject. Is the linking verb because it joins the subject to the predicate. Robin Hood's tells us whose arrows. So Robin Hood's is an adjectival element because it modifies a noun. It is an adjective. That tells us which shaft. So that is an adjectival element because it modifies a noun. It is an adjective. Now, I want you to diagram the sentence on your own. So hit pause, diagram the sentence on your own, come back and check your work. All right, you should have this for your diagram. And we will move on to the next sentence. All right, go ahead and write this sentence on your paper. That arrow is Robin Hood's. And let's begin. That arrow is Robin Hood's. This is a sentence and it is declarative. This sentence is about arrow. So arrow is the subject because it is what the sentence is about. This sentence tells us that arrow is Robin Hood's. So Robin Hood's is the predicate because it is what the sentence tells us about arrow. It is a predicate adjective because it tells the quality of the subject. Is the linking verb because it links the subject to the predicate. That tells us which shaft. So that is an adjectival element because it modifies a noun. It is an adjective. Now take a moment and diagram that sentence, and then we will come back and check our work. Okay, you should have this. All right, excellent work today. Tomorrow we will continue to work with possessive nouns.